In the previous lesson, we talked about the timeline panel and how to work with layers and how to apply some effects. And also we can use markers and decide if you want to use a work area and all the parts that concerns the timeline essentially. Now we already anticipated some of the switches and buttons and commands and columns that we have all in this area of the timeline, but in this video we're gonna get more into depth with this information right here. So before we start with the new lesson, since we've also worked with the preferences in the previous lesson, well, I want to show you how to restore the default preference settings in order to retrieve the original settings if you did some mistake or something wrong. So all you need to do before you actually clicking on the icon to start the application, you just need to hold Control Alt Shift if you are in Windows or Command Option Shift if you are on Mac, and that's for setting the preferences. Now you'll find all the information here in the manual, in the Adobe manual. So if you want to know more about resetting keyboard shortcuts or background preferences or anything, well, just read in the manual. Let's go back into After Effects. Let's go to Edit menu. So I'm just going to go down here and I want to show you a couple of extra commands that we have here. Now, first thing I want to show you is, well, again, this is where you get to the preferences, but if you go down, you also have keyboard shortcuts. Now, this is going to show you this kind of virtual keyboard where you can test all the keys that have been applied. And the purple ones are for the ones who works regardless of the panel focus. The green one only work in a certain panel. So for example, if I select the space bar by clicking here, you can see that the space bar can be used to run a preview, but only when you are in the timeline panel. So it doesn't work every time, everywhere. It only works when you are in the panel, when you're focusing in the timeline panel. And so it goes for all of these others. So you can click here and see some information on the right part also here. You have modifiers, commands, and here you have the commands and all the shortcuts available at the moment in After Effects. Now, if you want to search for something in particular, you can just type the command you're looking for. For example, undo can be used Ctrl+Z or redo. And you can also change this if you want. Just click here to delete it and apply something else if you want, like for example, Ctrl Epsilon, which is used for other software. And it's going to show you if it's already used for something else. And this is used by the new solid layer. So be careful not overriding. And also one good practice is to get your own presets. So you can see I have my own here. So I can save a new one. I can create my custom shortcut keys so that anything I do wrong, I can always go back to the defaults or the predefined or standard. So I'm just going to go for After Effects defaults or just click on cancel, and that's not going to affect anything. Now again, back to the edit menu. Also, another thing we can do is split a layer. Now, splitting a layer means that I'm like cutting this into two pieces. Now, in other software like Premiere Pro, that stays in the same track. While here it's going to create two different layers with two different in points and out points. Now, if I double click here, I can see in the detail, this is the out point. If I double click here, you can see this is the in point, which they are aligned in this case. And by the way, I used this video from Videbo that I used in the previous video. So I want to close this to go back to the composition. And just to credit the author and the website, this is the video that I've used to create this effect. So it's free download. And let's go back now to Adobe After Effects. Now, so we also have other stuff here we can do. We talked about the cache in the previous lesson. Now, the cache is something that is gonna like occupy a lot of space in your computer. So from time to time, you wanna probably purge everything or delete all the cache, or you can delete this cache or the 3D cache, whatever you want. Now I'm going to delete the all cache. Now be careful on the green line that you see in the timeline right there. So when I purge everything and just say OK, it's going to delete, and it's going to say time depending on how many projects we worked on, and that's it. So now it's empty, and you can see that the green line in there is gone. So that was kind of the pre-rendering, and now it's starting all over. It's starting from the CTI, creating that green line. Now remember that green line is it's kind of a pre-rendering or rendering out these layers, these effects, in order to see them in real time. So with the correct speed, and that's only thanks to this rendering process. Otherwise, we cannot do that. And so this is why it's useful to have a cache. So it's gonna like store that information in a hard disk so that I can play back this without you know, lagging or going too slow. I want to see this real time. Now I can also lift the work area and extract the work area. So if I extract the work area, it's gonna take off all that area and it's gonna like unite the rest. And if I do lift, it's just gonna take off that part. It's gonna leave the others where they are. So these are two similar options that again you have with the composition, not just the one layer. I'm gonna start with a new project here for the new lesson. So I want to save this, and let's save this as lesson 8. And we're going to start with another type of layer, which we didn't talk about yet. So I'm going to create a new composition, and that's going to be standard Full HD. And it's going to be purple, but you can change any color you want, as you already know. Now let's go to layer and create a new. And we talked about the text and the solid. I also want to show you here the null object. Now, null object is an empty object. You can click and drag, you can transform it, you can change the anchor point, the position, you can change rotation, opacity. Well, opacity doesn't make any difference here because we don't have any pixels yet inside this null object, so it doesn't make any difference. So why we should use null objects? Well, they can be used for grouping other layers, and they can be used also to define kind of a layout. So if I place it right here, for example, let's make like 0, 0, and then 0, 0 on the position. So it's going to go right there on the top. So I can create like a banner, or I can place this down. You can use the snap here. If you activate the snap, you can click there on the corner. You can make a snap to other layers or to guides and other the grid and other precision elements. But I want to keep it like in this area right here. Let me also activate the title save frame. So I want to create something that I can use for documentary or the news. So I want to create like a banner here. Not necessarily a header, could be also like a footer on the bottom. And now I want to deactivate that. So null object can be used as layout, or can be used as empty. Can be used for grouping, which means creating a father and children relationship. So I can create, for example, inside here another layer. So let's go to layer, new, and do a solid layer. And let's call these like logo placeholder. And again, choose your color. And let's make these like 200 pixels times 200 pixels. And lock the aspect ratio and say OK. So that's going to be the size of my logo. You can see I can click there and align it. I can bring it like right here or right here, depending where I want to place it. We already talked about the snap. And maybe I want this to be like aligned right there, like that. And then I want to click this and make it just a little bit bigger, like that. Okay, and you don't need to be precise with the null object. Now that's the logo placeholder, and that's a solid. Now, if you want to use this just